I'm gonna get so much anger for this. It's not a single voter issue. You know that thing that people like to glob on. You're just picking a single issue and you want a perfect candidate. It's not that. I know it's a very catchy thing to do. The whole point of a party is to represent its constituents. If it's not representing its constituents, that's not a single issue. That's a multitude of issues. Now, keep in mind, this isn't looking at just a moment in time. We're looking at overall trends. So when people talk about we keep moving right, this isn't, people are so focused on this moment in time, they're not seeing the overall trend. What ends up happening is we used to have a more progressive party, and that started to move right. So that window that we had between left and right has gotten smaller and smaller. And there's a few ways people talk about this. One is the ratchet effect, which is when you move right, there's like this lever in here that stops you from going left. And there are people who have gone through this in other countries who say the same thing. They say the things that you lose, you do not get back, not through voting. The other is frog in the water, right? If you put a frog in boiling water, it jumps out because it knows the difference. But if you put them in tepid water and slowly crank up the heat, they don't notice. So what's happening to us is we've been in a pot of water and they just slowly crank up the heat and we keep normalizing the thing that happened. And then the person that you're looking at is like, oh, well, he's the best option. How does that show up? Look at Mamdani. Again, that's not the most left person, but the people want that. The party will not endorse it. Look at what happened in Minneapolis. The party had endorsed it and then revoked it, even though that person won the primary. Corporate Democrats. And in California, there's a good example of this because there's so much tech out there too. But where the laws that are passed when it comes to like wage laws, environmental laws, it's not for the people, it's for companies. And for example, you have someone like Newsom who started off more progressive and then slowly started to shift right. And I know for all the people that are just in love with how he's tweeting, one of the things that stands out for me was his treatment of the homeless camps when he did a whole photo shoot with him taking down things and why that bugged me so much. There are people who do interviews with people after sweeps to talk about what they've lost. It's one of the most gut-wrenching things you can read in terms of just like very personal items that they can never get back. One story was somebody's dentures. And they talked about how dehumanizing it is to go out in the world. It was like the one thing, like you're going to try to go apply for a job, you're going to try to go do something, and now you don't have your teeth. And I think about Newsom, and the outfit that he was probably wearing was probably like Burberry jeans or something. Like, you know, it comes from a lot of money. And for him to just go through and do a whole photo shoot about that tells me the disconnect you have with humanity, tells me who you're able to trample over to get to the top. My point is, the party has demonstrated that they do not care or are not willing to listen to their constituents. Is that a precedent that we're willing to set right now, knowing that we are the ones that suffer? They get some distance from it with their lobbies and their corporate backings and things like that, but us and our communities are the ones that feel the brunt of it. Are we saying that is acceptable? Because we also have the choice right now to say, no, you work for us and we have demands and you meet our demands, not the other way around. Why are we not pushing back on them, the ones that are in power, versus pushing back on each other to say you have to accept what's not acceptable?